single. And now Billy with a base hit to right. Bautista is going to try for a play at first. Oh, got him.
It's been a rough week for the Royals. First, Billy Butler gets thrown out from right field, and Nori Aoki takes a shot to the marbles.
Been rough for us, but we'll get over the hump. We ain't in our heads in here.
Ned, are there any positive things you could take out of this series at all, or no?
No. At times, a frustrating season. We sure didn't see this coming.
It's going to take at least 90 to win the division and make their first playoff appearance since they won the World Series in 1985.
Well, we were wrong. 89 regular season wins, second place in the division, and the Royals are in the World Series. Tonight, everything you need to know about the Royals' first return to the big stage since 1985. And are the Chiefs feeling the heat? Under pressure now that the Royals are back in the World Series for the third time since the Chiefs were last in the Super Bowl? Hey, our World Series week off the bench starts now.
From KCTV5, this is Off the Bench with Sports Director Michael Coleman.
Look at us being all fancy. Good evening. Welcome to Off the Bench. I'm your host, Michael Coleman, here in the studio at our Hy-Vee Sports Desk. The Royals, they have done the improbable. They've won 8 straight postseason games to earn their spot back in the World Series for the first time in nearly 3 decades. Taking a much-needed day off today, they lent their office to their opponent. This is video of the Giants arriving at Kauffman Stadium, but San Francisco, shh, they're keeping a secret. They wouldn't let any cameras into their workout today, adding fuel to the fire. Folks, we've got a rivalry on our hands. A San Francisco radio station is refusing to play the song Royal. That's the song Lord wrote after seeing this picture of George Brett in National Geographic firing back 99.7 The Point here in KC is playing the song every hour on the hour this Tuesday for Game 1. But the real rivalry at hand starts on the mound. Here are your starters for Game 1. Madison Bumgarner and James Shields, 2 guys with pretty cool nicknames. Big Game James versus Mad Bum, but their numbers are very different. Bumgarner has started 4 times this postseason, 2 wins, 1 loss, and just this past Thursday, he got the no decision in Game 5 that decided the NLCS. As for James Shields, he's pitched 3 games this postseason. His only win coming back on October 5th in Game 3 of the ALDS. Of course, that was a very important outing. In 6 innings he pitched, he gave up 2 runs, enough to sweep the Angels and advance to the ALCS. Now, remember, it was a rough outing for Shields in that wild card game, and Ned pulled him for Yordano Ventura. But I ask you, who would you rather have starting the first World Series in 29 years in KC? I'll take a guy named Big Game James, but what's in a name? Not much. It's the numbers that count. During the regular season, Shields kept a 3.21 ERA and 14 wins. Game 2 at Kauffman will match Jake Peavy with Ventura. Peavy's only pitched twice this postseason. Game 1 of the NLDS was a win for the 33-year-old veteran where he pitched 5 2/3 shutout innings. And he pitched again in Game 2 of the NLCS where he got the no decision. Now, this matchup may be a little worse than the Royals fans since the last time we saw Ventura, well, it was a Game 2 of the ALCS. He left that game with tightness in his shoulder. In the previous series, Ventura got the no decision against the Angels, but he threw fire for a solid 7 innings, giving up just 1 run. I like his chances in Game 2 on Wednesday, and so does Ned, but he doesn't like being questioned.
Because that's where we want him pitching.
Why?
Because he's a good matchup against those guys. We like him in this park, and that's what we decided.
So there. Now, if you've been watching SportsCenter or MLB Network this last week, you wouldn't know the Royals are the odds-on favorite to win the World Series. Is there a media bias towards the Giants because they've been here 3 times in the last 5 years? Maybe, but not here. We've been covering the Royals for all 170 games, and we know this is a very special team, a team that almost seemed destined to win, but there are some baseball writers who are behind this unbelievable run. According to Pedro Gomez, he had the Royals in the playoffs back in March. Peter Gammons tweeted, "How did anyone ever beat the Royals bullpen?" And Ken Rosenthal, who wears a bow tie, is baffled, writing on FoxSports.com, "I have no earthly idea what will happen next." So what will happen? Well, you can be sure we'll see more of the Royals' defense being royal. We may not see Mike Moustakas landing in the dugout, but we're sure Moose will keep his solid glove going in order to help pick up that World Series trophy. As for that Royals outfield, they saved countless games with plays like this season by making catches that seem superhuman. And hey, isn't it pitching and defense that wins championships? Of course it is. The Royals have that. We've got the Giants beat on that. Bullpen H, D, H, Herrera, Davis, and Holland. These guys are strikeout machines. Davis has only given up 1 run in the postseason, a nasty 0.96 ERA, and of course, the closer. Greg Holland earned his All-Star status, recording 52 saves so far this year. But can HDH handle the Giants' clutch hitting? San Francisco won the NL pennant thanks to an 8th inning home run by Michael Morse to tie the game. Then in the bottom of the 9th, it was Travis Ishikawa coming through to send the Giants to beat the Royals in the World Series. But who would have thought last year we'd say this? The Royals also have clutch hitting, especially in this postseason. After hitting just 95 home runs all regular season, the Royals have hit 8 in their last 8 games, but it's when they hit those home runs that matter. Half of the Royals' postseason homers have been extra inning deciders. And we can't forget another key factor to the Royals' success. Even Billy Butler is getting aggressive on the base path. You add in Dyson and Gore and the rest of the crew, the Royals, get this, have stolen 13 bases this postseason, 153 in the regular season. But one area many of the so-called experts say the Giants have the Royals beat, the starting rotation. For their season, Bumgarner has been their ace, Tim Hudson number 2, Ryan Vogelsong number 3, and Jake Peavy become the 4th starter after the Giants picked him up before the trade deadline. And rounding out San Francisco is Yusmeiro Petit, just one lefty in the bunch. Here's how they stack up with the Royals' now 4-man starting rotation of Shields, Vargas, Ventura, and Guthrie. The postseason, the Giants have combined for a 2.35 ERA, the Royals 3.66. In the regular season, the Giants top 5 threw for a 3.28 ERA, and the Royals 3.56. The Stars could be a game changer, but we give our Nebraska Furniture Mart game changer to the skip. Whether you hate the bunt or you get a pit in your stomach when he tries for extra bases, it's undeniable that Ned Yost, the Nutty Professor, has led this team to the ultimate stage. Here's Brad Fanning.
You know, there's not much gray area when it comes to manager Ned Yost and Royals fans. You either love him or you hate him. But most, they kind of hate him.
Who's in charge of the air conditioning in here? You,
we're
Andy?
trying.
Royals manager Ned Yost is hard to love some days. He comes off a little salty with the media.
What are the different factors at play in choosing that Game 4 starter?
I'm sorry?
He comes off a lot condescending to those that don't know as much about baseball as he does. Ned got fired in Milwaukee with his team in a playoff hunt in total meltdown mode with 2 weeks to go in the season back in 2008. The term Yosted has become part of every Royals fan's vocabulary, and before the American League Championship Series began, the Wall Street Journal ran a story and called Ned Yost a dunce, and Orioles manager Buck Showalter the chess master. But here's the thing. The chess master will be watching the World Series on TV while Ned Yost, the dunce, manages in it. Some Royals fans say the team wins despite Ned. They say he's the same guy that held on too tight in 2008 and got fired. I say that's simply not the case. And here's the proof.
I think mostly where I've grown is I listen a lot more.
Not only does Ned not turn his nose up at a reporter that asks him that question, he answers it. Because he has an answer, because he has changed, and because he fully admits he listens to his coaches.
You know, again, listening is huge, you know, because these guys they're all extremely smart guys, and there's been numerous times where I've wanted to go one way and they've all wanted to go another, and I have gone their way, you know, and it's worked out great. So I've never done that before. It's always, I know what I want to do and I'm going to, do it. But they helped me tremendously.
So is Ned Yost the greatest manager of all time? Is he Joe Torre? Of course not. Is he above criticism? Absolutely not. But he has managed more games than any other manager in Royals history. And he's led this team to 8 straight playoff wins, 2 series sweeps over 2 division champions, and he brought the Royals back to the World Series for the first time since 1985. So if being Yosted means all that, I'll take it every year. I'll tell you this much. If being yoasted means going to the World Series, I want to be yoasted for the next 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years or so. You may not like Ned Yost, but you can't argue with the results. The Royals are in the World Series for the first time since 1985. Reporting from Kauffman Stadium for Off the Bench, I'm Brad Fanning.
He's honest and transparent. Thanks a lot, Brad. Of course, the man that hired Ned Yost is the GM, Dayton Moore. In fact, he's responsible for putting most of this team together. He drafted guys like Eric Hosmer and Mike Moustakas, acquired Alcides Escobar and Lorenzo Cain for Zach Greinke. A brilliant move since Greinke was set to become a free agent at the end of the season. Then, of course, a trade that brought James Shields and Wade Davis to Kansas City. But as Dayton prepares to watch what he built play in the team's first World Series since '85, he may have something else on his mind. He's rumored to be the favorite for the GM job of the Atlanta Braves, a team that gave him his first job in baseball. So once the World Series trophy is handed out, Dayton's employment status will become the story. So will Dayton Moore stay? Send us your thoughts via Twitter using the hashtag KCTV5Sports. Well, his time has been quiet with the Royals, but just by being royal, Josh Willingham has ended a streak that has haunted his 11-year career. You see, after joining the Royals back on August 11th, Willingham had just played 24 games. He batted .233 in the regular season with 2 home runs and 6 ribbies. But even with those minimal stats, Willingham might be the happiest Royal to make it to the World Series. That's because in 11 years, this is the first time he's ever reached the postseason. He was drafted by the Marlins in 2000. They won the World Series in '03, but he didn't make the team until '04. He signed with the Nationals in 2008. After he left, the Nationals made the NLDS 2 years later. He spent 2011 in Oakland, and without him, the very next season, the A's made the playoffs. He kind of feels like Charlie Brown. He became a Twin in 2012, missing Minnesota's last postseason appearance by 2 years. So now with the Royals, just weeks after announcing this is his last season, he is going to the World Series. Congrats, and good for him. Well, believe it or not, we're just getting started here on Off the Bench. World Series week as the Royals return to the World Series and Sporting KC clinches yet another playoff berth. The pressure is on for the Chiefs. But the Chiefs were in a real pressure situation today. Former Chiefs defensive back J.C. Pearson joins us to break down the Chiefs and Chargers down to the wire. Off the Bench in high definition, brought to you by Sprint. We'll be right back after this.
This is Off the Bench with sports director Michael Coleman.